From 4 games in Tampa Bay to 3 games in Kansas City, Royals, Blue Jays, final road trip series finale on Blue Jays game recap on Sports for Beginners is ready to lights up. Let's go. Postseason on the line. Let's talk about it.
Welcome to Sports for Beginners. This is the show where I cover the Pittsburgh Penguins, Toronto Blue Jays, and take you on a journey through the world of sports. From the fans' perspective, here is your host, Scott McGregor. Let's have some fun.
Hello, everyone. Welcome into Blue Jays game recap on Sports for Beginners and maybe somewhere down the road streaming on the ice and behind the benches. It is Sports for Beginners' final run for Blue Jays game recap of the 2025 MLB Blue Jays season for the Toronto Blue Jays. And we are talking all 3 games in Kansas City against the Royals of Kansas City. Now, the race might be tight. We'll get to that momentarily. But coming into the series, the Blue Jays had one thing on their mind, Blue Jay fans, and that was get into the postseason. And they could have got into the postseason, but also secured the American League division. But they let that kind of come down to the wire. We will talk about that throughout the course of this show. My name is Thomas McGregor. Welcome in. Please call me Thomas. I am the host of the brand you see behind me, which is on the ice and behind the benches. But we're in the Sports for Beginners studio for the Blue Jays game recap finale of the Road Series. And we will tee up just some of the probable pitchers for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday's contest between the Red Sox and the Jays, which is the final homestand kickoff for 2025 MLB baseball in Toronto. But is it the final homestand for the postseason? Not necessarily. We'll talk about the postseason, I'm sure, throughout the course of this program. Let's dive into it. Royals, Blue Jays. One team's going to come out of this series feeling really, really good about themselves. The other team, well, they're only going to feel like they need to improve. John Schneider, the manager of the Toronto Blue Jays, manager of the Kansas City Royals and Kauffman Stadium, is Matt Catrero, or Matt Q. He is the manager for the Kansas City Royals. And despite victories on the first 2 games of this 3-game series against the Blue Jays, after playing against Seattle and taking 1 out of 3 against the Mariners with a 12-5 loss over the Mariners on Tuesday and a 2-0 shutout loss on Thursday, they managed to take out the Seattle Mariners 7-5 on Wednesday, which was the only victory they got until they played the Blue Jays. Pitching matchups for game number 1, game number 2, and game number 3. Right now, let's get right into it. We mentioned it in the Blue Jays Tampa Bay Rays 4-game series recap that the pitching matchups probable were going to be Max Scherzer for the Blue Jays taking on Michael Lorenzen, I should say. Michael Lorenzen. And it was indeed Michael Lorenzen who, coming in to that matchup, was 5 Scherzer? Well, he was 5-3. He had never lost since the 3rd loss he got with the Blue Jays. In his other 5 starts, they were all victories, but throughout the games that he did lose, he had only lost 3 games with the Blue Jays. Now, Max Scherzer and Michael Lorenzen meet in Kauffman Stadium for the first of 3 games in the final road stand for the Blue Jays. Let's see how that game went down scoring-wise. But before we share the screen and we get to the scoring summary of how this all happened, let's have a look at the score line for the Blue Jays and the Royals for this game. And we'll do the same for game 2 and game number 3. So here we go. The Blue Jays and the Royals. It is a matchup like no other, and it plays out like no other, obviously. For the Blue Jays, 3 hits, 1 run, no error in this ball game. For the Royals, 20 runs, 27 hits, no errors. So just to recap, the Blue Jays had 1 run, 3 hits, no errors in the ball game, and it was 20 runs, 27 hits, no errors committed by the third place American League Central Kansas City Royals, who at the time of this game, coming out of Seattle, were only 76 and 77 in terms of wins and losses. They had only won 76 games and lost 77. So you figure going into game 2, they are now tied at wins and losses with 77 wins and 77 losses. So it's 77, 770. So 77 to 77 is the record for the Kansas City Royals. Blue Jays know down a game. They've got to make the Royals pay. But there was a lot that had transpired. And believe me, I say a lot that transpired. Let's take you in to that action. First, we're going to view the scoring pieces of this entire program. Let's go through the scoring. And it starts with, of course, at the top of the first inning, George Springer, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, George Springer, for his 30th home run of the season on a fly ball into left center field. And the Blue Jays go up 1-0 on the Royals. Bottom first, Bobby Witt Jr. singles on a ground ball into left field. Davis Schneider to make the play. Carter Jansen will score. We're tied at 1-1 apiece. Still in the inning, Vinny Pasquinto. Vinny P doubles for his 29th double of the season. That's on a line drive into left field. Davis Schneider also made the play. Bobby Witt Jr. will score on that play. Kansas City's out in front by 1 run. It's now 2-1 in favor of the Kansas City Royals. Salvador Perez. He has 29 homers on the season for 2025. Does he have 30 on the season for 2025 season? Yes, he does. He will score Vinny and Miguel Garcia, as well as himself, on a fly ball right into center field, and it is gone. The Blue Jays are now down by 4 runs. It's a 4-run lead for Kansas City, 5-1 in favor of Kansas City. Still in the inning, Michael Massier. He has 2 homers on the season for the entire Kansas City Royals in this entire series of matchups. Can he finally clinch number 3? Yes, he can. A line drive right into right field. Adam Frazier and him will score for the 3rd home run for Michael Massey. His 3rd home run of the ball game. I should say of the season. And the Blue Jays are down big. They are down by a 6-run lead. It's now 7-1 Kansas City over the Blue Jays. And the beatdown would not stop there. Carter Jensen, bottom third, doubles for his 5th double of the season. This one on a sharp line drive into center field. Jack Caligoni scores, or JC scores. I'll use name first letters of the first and last name, since I can't say this person's name right. Michael Massey scores as well. And the Blue Jays find themselves down 8 runs. It's 9-1 Kansas City. Still in the inning, Vinny P says, we've got a party going on. Let's continue it. He singles on a ground ball into center field. Carter Jensen scores. It's 10-1 Royals over Blue Jays, as it's now a 9-run lead for the Royals. Bottom 7, Luke Maley. Hey, he was a Blue Jay, wasn't he? He is into the ballgame. He drives one into center field. Jonathan India scores. Tyler Tobolt goes to second base. It's 11-1 Royals over Blue Jays. The Blue Jays are down 10 runs now. Still in the inning, JC swinging a drive deep to the right center field. It's gone. Tyler Tolbert, Luke Maley, and JC all score. It's 14-1. Kansas City over Toronto. Toronto finds themselves down 13-1 in terms of runs. 14-1. Kansas City, a 13-run lead for Kansas City. Kansas City is rocking. Bottom 8 after a much needed end of bottom 7. Luke Maley doubles his second double of the season on a line drive into left field. Donovan Indy will score. Randall Grichuk scores. Tyler Tolbert scores. 16-1 Kansas City over Toronto. All right, this game's basically over, guys. Let's move on. Adam Frazier keeps the inning alive. He singles on a line drive into center field. Nathan Lukes to make the play. Tyler Tolbert will score. Luke Maley will score himself to third. JC back at it, and he singles on a line drive into center field. Game. Luke Maley will score. Adam Frazier will go to third, still in the inning. As it's now 18-1. Michael Massier singles on a line drive into center field. Nathan Lukes, Adam Frazier will score. JC goes to third base. It's 19-1 Kansas City. It's 19-1 Kansas City. And just to put the dog in the doghouse, as the Blue Jays are considered the dog for Kansas City, John Rave singles on a line drive into left field. Davis Schneider to make the play. JC will score. Mike Massier will go to second base. And the Royals will come out to smack down the Blue Jays 20-1. They win by 9 and take it 20-1 in the opener. Yeehaw, Kansas City. Ouch, Blue Jays fans. And we thought playing in Tampa was tough. But wait, fans, before we go to the break, there's things you gotta see to believe if you didn't watch the game. And trust me, you didn't have to wait long, because as soon as this game got started at 6:41 p.m. Central Time, 7:41 Eastern Time, things got hairy right off the bat for the Blue Jays. A pitching change for Max Scherzer from Braden Fisher. But wait, do you think that's fun? That Max Scherzer gets kicked out of the game because, well, we need to change pitchers and he's already up on his pitch count. You think that's fun? Now, call it what you will, but both John Schneider and Pete Walker, arguing with the rookie umpire, get ejected in Kauffman Stadium, all for the sake of balls, strike calls. Now, John Schneider's ejection, he was stepping up for the pitcher. So was Pete Walker. But they both get ejected. James Jan ejects Pete Walker, and then the very next ejection, after Tommy Nance replaces Braden Fisher, who is basically 7-0 on their wins when he pitches for the Blue Jays. As soon as that happens, third base umpire Nestor Kaji has had enough with John Schneider. He says, "You're out of here, John." Nestor C says, "You're out of here, John. I'm gone if you're gone." And they eject John Schneider. Now, you guys can say whatever we want about it. At the end of the day, the Royals beat the Blue Jays 20-1. That was game one. So, yay for the Blue Jays. And you're talking about postseason. You think the pressure got to them? I certainly think so. Because, as you'll find out when we go to our standings update, the Blue Jays are in quite a pickle and they need it to win the series finale. Did they win the series finale? That game coming up in just moments. But coming up next, as we take a timeout here on Blue Jays Game Recap, we'll break down game number 2 of this 3-game series in Kauffman Stadium. Get to our team comparisons, players of the game for both game 1, game 2, game 3, still to come as well. And what can you expect on the final homestand edition of Weekly Blue Jay Recap for the regular season? That is coming up. Be sure to stick with us. You're listening to Blue Jays game recap on Sports for Beginners and streaming, maybe on a later date for On the Ice and Behind the Benches. Back in a few minutes.
CNT Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down, nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on CNT Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for The Melting Pot on CNT Radio.
Looking for conversations on the world of broadcasting, sports media, and from time to time, my favorite sports teams? Listen to Broadcast Map with me, Ali Musa. To learn more about the show and to view the upcoming schedule, like the Broadcast Map Facebook page. Search Broadcast Map.
Welcome back here on Blue Jays Game Recap. There is a lot to get into, folks. There's a lot to get into and not a lot to get through, but we will get there as many as we can. We'll get through as many as we can. We've already covered Game 1. John Schneider and Matt Q are the managers. Max Scherzer's game is one Blue Jays fans will definitely want to forget from Max Scherzer, not just from his pitching, but from what went down umpiring-wise. Now, I could yell at the umps right now and yell at them and say that was poor umpiring this entire series, and I could get Royal fans mad, I could get Blue Jay fans mad, but there is a little clean that does come out of this series, as you're going to find out as we wrap things up. Let's take you to game number 2 of this Blue Jays game recap 3-game series. And that, of course, a little bit more respectable for the Blue Jays. And, of course, the Kansas City Royals. A little bit of a low-scoring affair, but still the same kind of outcome Blue Jay fans were not hoping for. The Blue Jays do lose this game. Just like we did with the scoring summary for Game 1. We're going to do Game 2 scoring summary. But before we get there, here's Game 2's scoring summary. And it looks something like this. Noah Cameron, and Shane Bieber, not Justin, but Shane Bieber, coming into this ball game with aspirations on their minds, playoff aspirations on their minds. Of course, they all know what to expect. For the Blue Jays, 1 run, 4 hits, 2 errors committed in this ball game. For the Royals, 4 hits, 2 runs, no errors committed in this ball game for the Royals. So just like the beginning game, the Blue Jays this time committed 2 errors, but the Royals remained away from committing errors in this ball game. So how did that one go? Well, first off, we didn't do this for Game 1's winning and losing pitchers, but the winning pitcher's saver to save this game for Kansas City was Carlos Estevez. Record as a Royal is 4-5. He's 4-5 on the season, and he picks up his 41st save as a Kansas City Royal as the Royals beat the Blue Jays 2-1 on Saturday's second game of a 3-game series. This, of course, a little bit respectable. Shane Bieber, he is 3-1, hasn't lost a game since the next couple of starts he had, but today, not so lucky. And by today, I mean Saturday, not so lucky, with his record now going from 3-2. He now has a record of 9-7. And the record for Shane Bieber going into his next start is now 3-2. 3-2 for him, and of course 9-7 for Noah Cameron. Carlos Estevez, 41 save for him. He gets a save. How did this ball game go down? Let's see. This game started, of course, it was a 6-10 start on the Central Coast, and of course, 7:10 start on the East Coast. How did it all go down? We take you to the bottom of the 4th inning where the action picks up as the Kansas City Royals got things started with 2 home runs coming off of Vinny P and Bobby Witt Jr. Vinny P and Bobby Witt Jr. exchange homers. Vinny P has 31 homers on the season now, thanks to a fly ball into right center field. 2-0 Royals early. Bobby Witt Jr. leads things off with his 23rd home run of the season on a fly ball into center field. Royals. Top of the 7th, Dalton Varsho swinging a drive deep down center field line, and it is gone for Dalton Varsho's 18th home run of the season. And the Blue Jays have cut the game into within a score, but that will be the only other scoring opportunity we get as the Blue Jays fall to the Royals 2-1. Now, let's talk about the series finale. First off, he got 4 innings complete, 2 strikeouts, 3 walk batters, 4 runs. He was into the game. Now, he hadn't lost a game. So his record, despite no decisions, is 0-0. He's still 0-0. And why? Well, because in the 2 games he's had, you would eventually have thought he had picked up his first win, but he's actually haven't picked up a win. So it's kind of been the Max Scherzer kind of thing with Trey. Y Savage has not picked up a win for the Blue Jays. However, I have a feeling it's coming. Anthony Dominguez to come in to pitch for this game and get a win on his belt. He, coming into this game, record-wise, was 3-4. He had lost 4 games but hadn't won 4 games, so he was 3-4. Michael Wacha was 8-13. He is now 9-13. He was 9-12. With the loss, he goes to 9-13. And Jeff Hoffman, 9-7, picks up his 32nd save of the season for the Blue Jays, despite the Blue Jays scoring 8 runs, 12 hits, no errors in this ball game. So it's kind of a little bit of what happened when they lost 20-1, where they didn't commit an error, but they also only got 1 run. Now you might be saying, yeah, but that was all the umpire's fault. Game 1 was all the umpire's fault. Well, look at it here for game number 3. The Blue Jays have 12 hits, 8 runs, but just like Kansas City, who had done all series long, stayed away from the errors, the Blue Jays went back to what happened in the 20-1 game and did not commit a single error. So they only commit 2 errors in this series. That was all in game number 2 where they lost 2-1. This one, they win it 8-5 over the Kansas City Royals. We'll get to the scoring in just a minute, but the Kansas City Royals continuously tell the Blue Jays that this is what we expect from you. We expect you to fight. We expect you to win. We expect you to show some fight against us. And they did. 8-5 winners over the Kansas City Royals in the series finale, which of course took place today, Sunday, September 2025. And they showed up. But the Royals got 5 runs on 10 hits. And just like they did in game 1 and in game 2, did not commit a single error in the ball game. You would have thought at some point something had to give. Not in this case. All right, let's break it down. This is game 3's scoring line, and let's break it down for you in scoring. Andres Jimenez singles on a line drive into left field. 1-0 Blue Jays. Top of the 2nd inning is where he picked this up. Ernie Clement will go to third base. Nathan Lukes will score. 1-0 Blue Jays. Still in the inning, Tyler Heidemann out on a sacrifice fly, but Ernie Clement will score. 2-0 Blue Jays. Andres Jimenez to second base. George Springer picks up his 25th double of the season on a line drive. Andres Jimenez will score. George Springer is on second base with Andres scoring. It's 3-0 Blue Jays after 1 inning of play. 2 innings of play. Bottom of the 4th. Carter Jensen singles on a line drive into right field. Nathan Lukes sees Vinny P score. and Garcia. Garcia will score. Adam Frazier goes to third base. Kansas City is back to within a score. It's 3-2. Blue Jays lead by 1. Top of the 5th inning. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. doubles for his 34th double of the season. It's a sharp line drive into center field. Tyler Heidemann will score. Dalton Varsho will score. And the Blue Jays take back their 3-run lead with a 5-2 lead over the Kansas City Royals. Still in the inning, Addison Barger doubles his 31 double of the season. It's a fly ball into right field. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. will score. The Blue Jays are up 4 runs now. It's 6-2 in favor of the Blue Jays. Where was this? They ask Blue Jay fans of the media. Bottom 5. Garcia singles on a ground ball into right field. Nathan Lukes to make the play. Mike Yastrzemski scores. Vinny P to second base. And the Blue Jays are back to within a score, with the Royals now having 3 runs on the play and 6 runs for the Blue Jays. It's 6-3 Blue Jays. Salvador Perez. Well, you know you're in trouble when you see Salvador Perez. He singles on a ground ball into center field. Vinny P will score, and the Blue Jays are within a score. It's 6-4. Kansas City on the verge of tying this game up. Bottom 6th, Randall Grichuk. Randall Grichuk. You never thought you'd see this from Randall Grichuk, but here he is. Line drive single, and the Blue Jays are down to just a 1-run lead. Yet again, it's 6-5 Blue Jays over the Kansas City Royals. Top of 5, Ernie Clement at the dish. Swinging a sharp line drive into left field. Miles Straw into the ball game. He will score, and the Blue Jays take back one of those runs that they had. It's now a 2-run lead for the Blue Jays, as it's now 7-5 over the Kansas City Royals. Still in the inning, Andres Jimenez triples, his first triple in the MLB, and as a Blue Jay on a fly ball into center field. Mike Yastrzemski to make the play. Ernie Clement will score, and the Blue Jays will take 1 out of 3 against Kansas City, and Kansas City will win the season series of this road trip 2 out of 3, but the Blue Jays will avoid the brooms of Kauffman Stadium for now. We don't know where Kansas City's fate is yet. It could be postseason bound. We don't know where they're at. All right, we will take another timeout. When we come back, game balls of the game, as in player of the game, with the team comparisons for all 3 games. We'll dive into what's going on as the postseason nears. We'll talk about how the Blue Jays got to clinching into the postseason, as they are now officially locked into the postseason. You'll hear my thoughts on that. Then, before the show is up, we will prepare you for Blue Jays weekly recap, and the rest will go from there. My name is Thomas McGregor. You're listening to Blue Jays game recap on Sports for Beginners, and on another time and another date, always streaming on the Ice and Behind the Benches. We'll be right back.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo, 2 powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
Looking for a sports podcast that covers sports weekly as well as gets you set up for the day? Check out Weekly in Sports with me, Scott McGregor. We give some shout-outs of the week to podcasts like this one and those who do them. Discuss the Blue Jays, Bills, Raptors, and more. To learn more, check out the Sports for Beginners Facebook page. Search Sports for Beginners.
And we are back here on Blue Jays game recap Welcome back in, everybody, into Blue Jays game recap. Here with you for just about a couple more minutes here on the program. I am Thomas McGregor, the host of Sports for Beginners' Blue Jays game recap. You can also find me on the ice and behind the benches. We do some shows there for Blue Jays game recap. We will have you for Blue Jays weekly recap following our Sports for Beginners shows as they prepare for the final homestand of the Blue Jays and the Red Sox, Tampa Bay Rays, of course, as well. If you missed Tampa Bay road trip recap as they were a part of this road trip, then you'll know that you have to tune into that show before you tune into that weekly Blue Jay recap, because we have some thoughts that we'll bring out and will probably be some spoilers to you. Some that you probably didn't hear me say on Blue Jays game recap when we talked about the Rays, and some that I wanted to say, but I decided not to. The Blue Jays are in to the postseason. Are the Royals out? Not yet. Not yet. They're not out, but the Blue Jays have solidified the first round bye and have clinched a playoff spot. Now, can they clinch the American League East division before it turns? Maybe, maybe not. The division is still up for grabs. And right now, the Yankees are just 2 games back of the division, with 88 and 68 being the record for them right now. We're going to get to the standings update momentarily on this show. We'll get there momentarily. Let's take a look at some of the action that's going on right now before we get to our game balls of the game and our team comparisons through all 3 games of Mike Q and John Schneider, who is, of course, the managers of the Kansas City Royals and the Toronto Blue Jays. Already final today, the Arizona Diamondbacks beat the Philadelphia Phillies 9-2. Ranger Suarez with the loss. His record now 12-7 is the record. Eduardo Rodriguez is record 9-8. I believe that's Eduardo Rodriguez. I could be wrong. Let me just double check here. Yes, it is Eduardo Rodriguez. It is who I said his name. 9-8 with the win. The record for Eduardo Rodriguez. Yeah, Eduardo Rodriguez. The Dodgers find a little bit of comfort, but unfortunately are unable, even though they're in with the National League playoff clinched for the Dodgers, they find that celebration might have been a little too smooth because the Giants beat the Dodgers 3-1. Winning pitcher is, of course, Spencer Bevins. His record 4-3. The loss goes to Blake Triani. His record 7-1. And the save is none other than Ryan Walker, his 16th save of the season. LA Dodgers lost, but so did the Los Angeles Angels to the Colorado Rockies. 3-1 losers to the Colorado Rockies, as they are now 43-113. With their winning pitcher, Kyle Freeland, going to 5-16 with the victory. And the loss coming to Caden Danya with his 3rd loss of the season. He is 0-3. And the save from Colorado coming off of Victor Vodnik, his 10th of the season. The Texas Rangers fight hard against the Miami Marlins, but the Marlins come out on top with the victory. Winning pitcher is Lake Belacher. His record 8-2 on the season. Morel Kelly with the loss. His record 12-9. And George Soriano with his first save of the season. George Soriano, first save of the season for him, comes as we dwindle down in the final games. So Texas loses to Miami 4-2 final there. Milwaukee gets not manhandled by the St. Louis Cardinals, but they do lose 5-1. Winning pitcher is Matthew Liberatore. His record 8-12. The loss goes to Robert Gassier. His record 0-1. So he's a new pitcher from Milwaukee, and he got his first loss. Ooh, I wonder what will happen with him. Who knows? And yes, Blue Jay fans, if you're listening into this and you didn't know, the Blue Jays photos that are being posted all across and even on Rogers Center, the Blue Jays have clinched, so they are in the postseason. So if you haven't been seeing any photos of the clinching scenarios, also you have been seeing them popping up on your feeds. They are in it. Continuing on here with our scores here. The Twins find a way to beat the Guardians 6-2 after losing the doubleheader yesterday to the Cleveland Guardians. Winning pitcher for the Cleveland Guardians is Cody Burke. His record 4-1 for the Twins. Loss goes to Matt Fiesta. His record 5-4. Errors committed in the ball game, but that's okay because they're fine with that. 2 errors for the Twins, 1 error for the Guardians. The Chicago White Sox fight hard, but ultimately it's the Padres who come out big with a win. It is a 3-2 victory for Michael King, who is now 5 season with the win. Sean Burke is now 4-11. He has lost the game. And Robert Suarez picks up save number 40 with the Padres beating the White Sox 3-2. Nationals also win 3-2 over the New York Mets, with Jake Ivering going to 9-13 on the season. Sean M, I should say, going to 2-4 in the season. That's his 4th loss of the season. Another one getting the first save of the season for them, George Siriano, who also picks up his first save of the season. And speaking of saves, we have the Chicago Cubs 1-0 losers to the Cincinnati Reds as Nick Martinez picks up his 11th win and is now 11-13 to James Talian, who's now 10-7, with, for the 7th save in a row, Tony Santillan with his save number 7. Yankees, as we mentioned, are keeping an eye on the Blue Jays. They needed 10 innings to win this ball game, and they come out with a victory despite the Blue Jays beating the Royals 8-5. Today, it's 7-1 Yankees over the Baltimore Orioles, with 6 runs coming across the plate in the top of the 10th inning at Camden Yards. And speaking of 10 innings, I wonder what will happen in our other games that are underway. Only 2 games left to go that are underway. Currently, the Seattle Mariners lead the Houston Astros 5-0 in the top of the 2nd inning. Tigers lose to the Atlanta Braves 6-2 the final there. And the Pittsburgh Pirates, despite being eliminated like the Athletics are, shut down the Athletics 11-0 with the winning pitcher in Carmen Modzinski, his record 5-8, and Mitch Spence, the loss, his record 3-6 now. Mitch Spence with his 6th loss of the season. David Bednar with the win for the Yankees. His record now 6-5. The loss goes to Cade Stroud. His record 0-1. That's his first loss of the season. And in the warm-up right now is the last of the American League East matchups. It is Conley Early 1-0 versus the 1-3 Joe Boyle. He played against the Toronto Blue Jays, and now he's, of course, against the Boston Red Sox. That game in the warm-up right now. Seattle Mariners, as we mentioned, are in the top of the 2nd with 1 out, 1 on. And pitching is Jason Alexander on the hill for the Houston Astros. All right, we're getting in to our final break of the program. But before we do that, let's go over our team comparisons for the Toronto Blue Jays and the Houston Astros as we prepare for our standings update on the other side of the final break of our program. So here we go. Let's dive in to the team comparison, and we'll start with game number 3 of this 3-game series in which the Blue Jays win 8-5. We're going to start right there, and here is how it worked. Our top performers, of course, we'll get to the game balls on the other side, which are, of course, players of the game. But for the Blue Jays, 8 runs, 12 hits, no homers, 5 men left on base, no errors in the ball game. 7 men left on base for the Kansas City Royals. 13 times they touched base. They touched base 17 times, the Blue Jays. They had 10 hits to 5 runs for the Kansas City Royals, but both teams, no errors in the ball game and no stolen bases. For more coverage on this game, we have, of course, the Royals focused on a back-to-back winning season for the first time since 2014 and 2015. What's next for the Blue Jays with the postseason fan-answered questions, otherwise known as FAQ? That's something we could look at. And, a shutdown for Seth Lugo for the rest of this 2025 season. The Royals are not going to give Seth Lugo more starts, so he is done. They are shutting him down for good this season. Okay, good news. Good to know there. The top performers, and of course, they're known as game balls of the game, player of the game as well. They're on the way. But to wrap us up into this timeout, here's what the team comparisons look like. This is game number 2. We already did game 3. This is game number 2. Of course, the Blue Jays and the Royals, despite the Blue Jays committing 2 errors and the Royals committing no errors in this entire series, but 2 errors in just the one game for the Blue Jays, you had 6 men left on base for both teams, the Royals and the Blue Jays. The Royals touched base 11 times. The Blue Jays just 8 times they were on base. The Royals had 2 homers. Of course, that's what made 2-1 the final. And the 1 homer, of course, from the Blue Jays on both teams getting 4 hits. That was the game for which Noah Cameron and the Kansas City Royals won in small fashion, 2-1. And last but certainly not least, game number 1 of this 3-game series. Back on, I believe it was Friday, the Blue Jays, 1 run, 3 hits, 1 homer. They touched base 6 times, was on base for 5 men left on base. The Royals were on base 43 times, but left 12 men on base and stole 1 base with just 3 homers, 27 hits, and 20 runs. Of course, some of those homers coming off of Vinny P, who had a 4-for-4 day that game, and also one of them coming off of Michael Massey. All right, time for our final timeout here on Blue Jays game recap. When we come back, game balls of the game for game 1, 2, 3, and 4, with the player of the game for both teams in that stance. Then we're setting you up for not just the remainder of the baseball season, but what we can expect on weekly Blue Jays recap as the postseason nears. We will take a break on Sports for Beginners. It is our final break. And up next, time for the players of the game, time for the series in a nutshell, and of course, our final thoughts on this entire series in general. The attendance record also coming up. We will be right back after these words from V4A Radio, also known as Voices for Ability Radio, Sienna T, and a word from our station, Sienna T Radio, that is, of course. Back to wrap it up on the other side. Stay with us.
Sienna T Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down, nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on Sienna T Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for The Melting Pot on Sienna T Radio.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo, 2 powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
I wonder if I could make it. It's almost getting to 8 o'clock p.m., and I am still a few more steps away from home to get to my computer to listen to Sienna T Radio's Cosmopolitan Culture Club. The best of the best music from around the world. Can't wait! I think I made it! Sienna T Radio, making your day brighter, one song at a time.
All right, welcome back, everybody, in the Blue Jays game recap. We are almost at the end of Blue Jays game recap. When we last talked to you, we talked about the team comparisons for both Game 1, Game 2, Game 3. So the 2025 MLB regular season is just coming to a close. And speaking of coming to a close, game balls of the game are coming, and they're coming up fast in this final timeout, this final piece of the show. We've already gone through how the game has gone. The Blue Jays are in the postseason. Who is in the postseason besides them? We will now take a look at the standings. But first, quick update for you on the games going on. Just 2 games to go. And those, of course, include the Houston Astros in the bottom of the 6th against the Seattle Mariners, down by 6 runs. It's 7-1 in the bottom of the 6th. It is a 3-1 Rays lead over the Boston Red Sox in the top of the 5th inning. And as mentioned, the games that have gone final, as we take you to the American and National League standings update. The Yankees 7-1 victors over the Baltimore Orioles in 10 innings, 6 runs coming across the plate in the top of the 10th inning. The Reds 1-0 victors over the Chicago Cubs. The Pirates shut down the Athletics. Nationals 3-2 victors over the Mets. 3-2 victors Padres over the White Sox. 6-2 victors Twins over the Guardians. Our game, of course, 8-5 victors Blue Jays over the Kansas City Royals. Texas Rangers 4-2 losers over the Miami Marlins. 5-1 victors St. Louis over the Milwaukee Brewers. The Rockies are 3-1 victors over the Angels. The Dodgers lose 3-1 over the Giants. And 9-2, the Diamondbacks beat the Phillies in regular innings. Only 2 games to speak of right now. Those games, of course, underway. Logan Gilbert is on the hill for Seattle. Christian Walker is at the plate right now with 1 out in the bottom of the 6th inning. And the Rays have switched pitchers. It's now Cole Sussler. Cole Sussler is into the ball game, if I'm saying it right. Alex Bregman trying to keep this game within a score. It's a 1-run ball game if the Red Sox can score their runner from first with 1 out in the top of the 5th inning. The Rays currently hold a 2-run lead right now. So what's happening in our American League and National League standings update? Well, let's take a look at it from the wild card perspective first. And we'll start with the American League. Seattle and Detroit have not yet punched their ticket to the postseason. But they could very well do so. Right now, Seattle is live with Houston, who is currently 84-71 against 86-69, which is, of course, the Seattle Mariners record. We just reminded you of what the score is, as that's into the bottom of the 6th inning. Top of the 5th in Tampa Bay with 1 out and 1 on for the Boston Red Sox. Detroit Tigers 85-71. They will begin a series with the Cleveland Guardians, who are just 5 games out of the wild card race and right there with the Detroit Tigers for the American League Central. So they're right there with them. They are 84-72, and they'll take on 85-71 Detroit Tigers. Meanwhile, Tampa Bay is playing Boston right now, but the White Sox are playing the New York Yankees next. And that series, of course, begins on Tuesday, September 23rd. Is it Tuesday, September 23rd? Yeah, Tuesday, September 23rd. And it'll be against the Chicago White Sox, who face an 88-68 New York Yankees team, who is 3.5 up on the wild card spot in the playoffs. However, they're also inching for a breezing on the Toronto Blue Jays American League East Division title. So the Blue Jays have clinched the playoff spot. No one can take that from them. However, division is still up for grabs. That means that Yankees still have a chance right now. What's going to happen in Chicago for the Blue Jays to see the Yankees? Well, Blue Jays fans, we're just going to have to win out our homestand, and we will be seeing the team that's facing Tampa Bay right now, the Boston Red Sox, on Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025, also known as our final Looney Dogs night at Rogers Center. Meanwhile, elsewhere, the Texas Rangers begin a series on Tuesday against Minnesota, who is 67-89, just 17.5 games out of the wild card race. It's pretty safe to say they are eliminated. The Angels are 14.5 games out of the wild card race, but they are pretty much finished at this point. So they are eliminated. The Orioles are eliminated as well. They are 11.5 games out of the postseason run. The Athletics also 11.5 games out of the postseason run. They open up their series, of course. Tampa Bay will be taking on Baltimore next, while the Red Sox take on the Blue Jays Tuesday. And meanwhile, the Athletics, they're taking on Seattle right now. Houston's taking on Seattle right now. But the Athletics will be next up to the plate to face the 86-69 Seattle Mariners, depending on how the game goes with Houston and the Seattle Mariners. The Seattle Mariners currently leading that game, but anything can happen. Program. So we will continue to keep you updated. 84 to the Cleveland Guardians, as we mentioned, are playing the Detroit Tigers. Texas has got the Twins. Kansas City is on the way to play the Angels. Boston is on the way to play the Blue Jays after they wrap up their series with the Tampa Bay Rays. Kansas City taking on the Angels, and the Yankees next up, Chicago White Sox territory as they prepare to wrap up this 2025 MLB regular season. Divisions have been clinched, so a postseason berth in the National League, as the Philadelphia Phillies, not only are they in the postseason, but they are in the National League East and second round bye for the National League leaders. Milwaukee has clinched the division. They have also been indicated to be in the postseason. They begin a series with the Padres tomorrow, Monday, September 22nd, 2025, at 95-61. That's the record the Padres will face, who is 85-71 on their season, just 5 games up on the second wild card spot in the National League. The Chicago Cubs begin a series with the New York Mets, who currently hold the sole possession of the third and final wild card spot. However, they are tied with the Cincinnati Reds, who are also holding that third wild card spot. So one of them is going to get that third wild card spot. Who is going to be? We won't know until the season is over. Is it too little too late for some of these teams to make it? Probably. But all you could do is try. San Diego is taking on Milwaukee next. Philadelphia is taking on Miami, who, according to the records, Philadelphia is 92-64. They're taking on a 76-80 Miami Marlins team, and that series begins on Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025. St. Louis meets the Giants on Monday, September 22nd. That series gets going, and it'll be the Cardinals of 76-80 versus 77-79. That's the record of the San Francisco Giants. 77 wins, 79 losses. And they'll be taking on the 76-80 St. Louis Cardinals. That series begins Monday. Also beginning Monday, the Washington Nationals begin a series with the Atlanta Braves, who are 73-83, just 7 games out of the wild card race for the National League. Is this still enough time for the Atlanta Braves to make it? Probably, but we will see. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm 90% sure that they could find a way in. Will they do it? That's in the question. The Nationals are 64-92. They are probably gone, and they most likely are. They're 16 games out of the wild card race, and they're taking on a team who's 7 games out of the wild card race, but could potentially, because they're on an 8-game winning streak, could potentially take care of those games down. So it could be a surprise contender in the Atlanta Braves. Could be a surprise contender for the Braves. I know we said they're eliminated, but just hear me out. That elimination might be a little too early to talk about. It might be a little too early to count them out because they're on an 8-game winning streak, but they might have a chance. They might have a chance. St. Louis is 4 games out, so is Miami. They're both 76-80. 77-79 is taking on the St. Louis Cardinals, 76-80, and of course, Philadelphia Phillies are taking on the 76-80 Miami Marlins. The Chicago Cubs are taking on the 80-76 New York Mets, and the Pirates will finish their season with the Cincinnati Reds Tuesday. Now, of course, there's still games to be played, but they will have a series with the Cincinnati Reds. 67-89 is the record that Cincinnati will face. They are 80-76. Pirates are on a 2-game winning streak, but the Reds, well, they're on a 5-game winning streak, and they can easily find a way to keep the Pirates eliminated by continuing that streak. Will that streak come to an end when they face the Pirates again? Who knows? We don't know till it's made official. Okay, let's take a look at just some of the action that is going on. Reminder of the games that they got in final. 11-0 Pirates over the Athletics. 6-2 Victors Tigers lose to the Atlanta Braves. 7-1 extra inning finish for Dave Bednar and the New York Yankees. They beat the Baltimore Orioles. 6-2 Victors Twins over the Cleveland Guardians. 3-2 Victors Nationals over the Mets. 1-0 shutout winners to the Cincinnati Reds for the Cubs over the Chicago Cubs. They win 1-0 Cincinnati. The Milwaukee Brewers fine Pater, but the Cardinals fine more Pater, beating them 5-1 in this ball game. Red Sox game is underway. Miami Marlins 4-2 victors to the Texas Rangers. Diamondbacks 9-1, 9-2 victors over the Phillies. 3-1 losers Dodgers over the Giants. Colorado Rockies 3-1 victors over the Angels. And the White Sox 3-2 losers to the Padres. We're through 7.5 innings in Houston, and it's 7-1 still at the Astrodome for the Seattle Mariners over the Houston Astros. Still pretty cool game for the Rays. They are up 2 runs to the 1 run scored by the Red Sox. It's still 3-1 there in the bottom of the 5th as we are through 4 innings of play with only 1 run on the board for the Red Sox and 3 on the board for Tampa Bay. So anything can happen. All right, let's go to our top performers of the game and get right into our game balls of the game. And we're going to start with game number 3, when the Blue Jays got their win over the Kansas City Royals and avoided the sweep of the Kansas City Royals, who at the point they almost lost this game in the series finale, were 1 game away from clearing the series. The Blue Jays, of course, they had an opportunity to win game number 2 and they could not do it, but that's okay. They needed to have a chance to clinch the postseason sooner rather than later. And of course, that opportunity came when it counted, and that opportunity was when the Blue Jays beat the Royals 8-5 and clinched the postseason. The player of the game for the Blue Jays, as MLB has instructed, is the 2-for-5 Vladimir Guerrero Jr., a double, 2 RBIs, and a run scored. Andres Jimenez, a 2-for-4 day for him, a triple, 2 RBIs, a run scored. George Springer, a double, a walk, an RBI. Obviously, we are headed back to the postseason, the Blue Jays. But this time, we're headed back to the postseason our way. No wild card to be talked about. None of that. We're doing it our way. And our way is, well, Schneider said it best in a celebration, which I'm sure we can all check out wherever we find it. Selflessness. This team is a complete loose cannon, I think. And if I had to pick my player of the game, it might not be Vladimir Guerrero Jr., but it definitely comes a little close to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. That's Dalton Varsho. 1-for-5, got a run driven in, did not pick up an RBI, but he got a hit and he got something out of it. Ernie Clement, I mean, what can you say about this guy? 2-for-4, 2 runs, an RBI. Great job by him. And I'm even willing to give some credit to Trey Savage. 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, 4 runs given up, 5 hits given up, but he does go for complete innings. That's got to be some kind of improvement there from Savage. Of course, he does not get the win in the Major League Park, but that's okay. The winning pitcher, of course, could have been Michael Wacha. He obviously did not get in to the winning pitcher, but that, of course, was Sir Anthony Dominguez. So Sir Anthony Dominguez does get the win, and therefore his record is 4-4. Michael Wacha, 9-13 for him. Jeff Hoffman, 32nd save of the season, and what a time for him to get that 32nd save. 32 saves on the season for Jeff Hoffman. Great job by him. As the Blue Jays send us into the Royals player of the game for game number 3 of this 3-game series. And I gotta say, I never thought I'd say this, but Mike Yastrzemski, or Mike Y. I'll go with Mike Y. 4 at-bats, 2 hits, 1 run. He walked. But the guy that comes really, really close to him is M. Garcia. Look at this guy. 2-for-4, run batted in, an RBI comes out of it. Great job by M. Garcia. Great job by everybody who contributed in the Royals game as well. Not in their favor to sweep the Blue Jays in front of an attendance record of 32,936 fans in attendance, even though the game took 2 hours and 39 minutes to complete and started just 2 minutes after 1:10 p.m. Central Time, and 2 minutes after 2:10 Eastern. So yeah, maybe I got that mixed up, but that's okay. It is what it is. The Blue Jays are in, and we Blue Jay fans should feel pretty happy about that. Are we happy that we avoided the sweep? Yes. Are we happy that we're in the postseason? Yes, but the job's not done yet. All right, game 2. Players of the game. And first off, your player of the game per MLB in that game on Saturday was Noah Cameron. 6 2/3 innings, 5 strikeouts, 1 earned run, 3 hits allowed, 2 walk batters, and Vinny P with Bobby Witt Jr. combined the Royals for a 2-for-4 Bobby Witt Jr. day of a home run, a double, an RBI, and a run. A homer, 2 walks, and an RBI, and a run for Vinny P. And here we go. That means that as we are into the Royals player of the game, and I think the player of the game is really Bobby Witt Jr. 2-for-4. That was a pretty great game for him, despite winning against the Blue Jays 2-1. And remember, Blue Jays had some things they were watching for, and I'm sure the Kansas City Royals had things they were watching for as they try to keep pace with who they can catch and who they can't catch in the postseason. I'm sure they had scenarios for them to get into the postseason. That's still likely a scenario, folks. It's still likely a scenario. So don't lose hope on the Royals just yet. It's not over yet. Remember what George Springer said to the Blue Jay fans, and remember what your team has said to you. We don't quit until baseball says it's time to quit. Or in his words, baseball says it's over, it's finished. And if you keep that in mind, baseball hasn't told the Royals that's it, your season's over. So, is this time to quit? No. Kauffman Stadium, despite this game going off at 1 minute after 7:10 Eastern, 6:10 Central. For me, the player of the game for the Blue Jays has to go to in a 2-1 Royals victory in front of 25,774 fans in attendance. And although it took just 2 hours and 21 minutes to complete, Blue Jay player of the game for me has to be Shane Bieber. 6 1/3 inning pitches, so 6.1 innings pitched, 4 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. Yeah, he gave up 2 homers, I know, but he found a way to keep this game in check. Now, of course, I could look at some of our hitters, but I don't know if any of the hitters really stood out to me. I thought Ernie kind of had an off day, 0 for 3 with a walk in that day. Addison Barger came in, not much better for him. For 1, 0 for 2 was Isaiah Kiner-Falefa or IKF as we call him. Miles Straw, not much better. Ty France got a hit in 4 at-bats, but nothing transpired. Dalton Varsho is the closest you get, and he drove in a run, he drove in a hit, and he drove in an RBI. He also walked, and he struck out. Something the Blue Jays don't do very often this season. So Dalton Varsho is where I will land my player of the game for the 2-1 Royal victory over the Blue Jays, which of course ended up in a attendance record of 25,774 fans in attendance. All right, on to game 1. The kind of lopsided game, or the umpire game. Yeah, I said it, the umpire game. Player of the game is, I actually can't disagree with MLB on this. I really thought this guy actually really pitched well. Michael Lorenzen, 7 2/3 of an inning pitched. So basically 7.2 innings pitched, 4 strikeouts, 3 walks, allowed only 2 runs, 1 run in this ball game. And that, of course, was the only run the Blue Jays gave, which was birthday boy George Springer on the opening day of the Kansas City Royal Blue Jays Kauffman Stadium final meeting. Vinny P was 4 for 4 that day with 2 doubles, 2 RBIs, a run scored. And Michael Massey, 4 for 5 with a homer, a double, a walk, 3 RBIs, and 2 runs driven in. If this was taken in the Blue Jays case, say the Blue Jays magically came back, and we're talking about a 20-21 final for the Blue Jays in game 1. Now you have the Blue Jays winning the season series, 2 games out of 3. Not the case, of course, because Kansas City won 2 out of 3 with a 2-1 victory after a 20-1 victory. And that 2-1 victory came on Saturday's game, while Friday's game was a 20-1 victory over the Blue Jays, and it was a monster for the Kansas City Royals. However, I gotta give my credit for the player of the game for the Blue Jays to the birthday boy, George Springer. Honestly, it was great to have a birthday gift of a home run. You obviously want to get a win with your team on your birthday, but hey, if you can get yourself a home run, a home dinger on your birthday, to each his own, George Springer. Great job by you. You got the only run we got in the ball game, but you found a way to make it count. 3 for 2 on the day with, of course, the 3 at-bats. So, 2 for 3, an RBI, a run, he walked, and then, of course, that was our ball game. However, he wasn't the only one that got hits. Now, he got 2 hits, yes, but he wasn't the only one that got hits. The other guy that got a hit was Pink Pony Club walk-up music, please. It's Davis Schneider. No. I don't mean John Schneider. For those of you who think John Schneider was going to lace up his cleats and actually go onto the field and play, that's not John Schneider playing. That's Davis Schneider playing. Now, don't get it twisted. So, Davis Schneider, get it started. And that was the only other hit we had in the ball game. Great job by those guys. Really thought we could have saw something from Vladimir Guerrero Jr. We did see some great plays from the defense, despite no errors, but still not in our favor. And that was an Apple TV game, but was also streamed on Sportsnet. Nationally, it was Apple TV, but if you were in the area of which you could hear Sportsnet's broadcast, you got Apple TV through Sportsnet. And of course, the radio broadcasts for Kansas City and Sportsnet 590 The Fan for, of course, the Blue Jays. 590 The Fan was where you could get the radio broadcast for the Toronto Blue Jays. That's Sportsnet 590. All right. So players of the game out of the way. Game balls out of the game. Out of the way, I should say. A lot's coming on Sports for Beginners in the next coming days. Even on the ice and behind the benches. We are coming to you for the hockey season now. But baseball fans, don't leave this podcast high and dry, because with the Blue Jays in the postseason, we're initiating a Blue Jays reaction fan pod that I like to call BJFR. Now, what does BJFR mean? Well, BJFR means it's a fan reaction kind of similar to what our boy Leafs Nation, if you are tuning in to the program, welcome, Steve Dangle does for LFR, which stands for, of course, Leafs Fan Reaction. However, you will only be hearing this, as of right now, during the postseason, whether the Blue Jays win or they lose, umpire damage or no umpire damage. We will react to every game, and of course, you're always invited to join one of our favorite shows that happen after every ball game, and I'm sure it's going to happen during the postseason. Jays Talk with Blair and Barker, and during the weekday, Mr. Show Ali and whoever else he has with him during the weekend. Blair and Barker for the weekday. Show Ali has you with you, has everybody with them on the weekend. And maybe even the Raj 590. Shout out to Raj 590 at the Raj 590. He will probably make an appearance. Anywho, what else? Blue Jays fan reaction, otherwise known as BJFR, will be here on the Sports for Beginners Network and on the ice and behind the benches. You'll hear either myself or Scott react to the game, and you can even tell us via the Sports for Beginners WhatsApp chat your thoughts on the game during the postseason, and make sure you keep them positive, because we are lighting it up and we are letting go. Well, not letting go. We are lighting up and let's go. You get the motto. Lights up, let's go. We're lighting it up and cheering proud. There you go. Also, we love what people hear about at Gate 14 from host Johnny and Avery. So Gate 14 podcast forever. Love the content that you guys provide, Johnny and Avery. Shout out to you guys. Without you, this probably ain't possible. But let's go. Let's keep on going. As Howie Mandel would say on Deal or No Deal, let's ride. The Blue Jays and the Royals could potentially meet in the postseason. But is that in the cards for the MLB? Maybe, maybe not. What is in the cards right now is where the Royals and the Blue Jays stand as we're into our sign-off moments and our final thoughts here. I thought the series was pretty well played out. It was almost like the Blue Jays didn't want to win this series against the Kansas City Royals, but that's just my take on it. They obviously want to win at home because they do better at home, but there is no doing better at home when you get to the postseason, I'm sure. Now it's win, 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 win. You've got to win, and you've got to prove you can do it. Matt Q, it was great to be playing against you with the Toronto Blue Jays, playing 3 against Kansas City, and hopefully you guys have a great season the rest of the way. Best of luck. Last time we saw you before this time, I'm sure many of us remember. But anyways, best of luck the rest of the way. They continue a series now with the LA Angels starting Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025. And then they'll wrap it up 10:05 Eastern, Friday and Saturday against the Athletics. I'm going to call them the Sacramento Athletics. They are, of course, in Sacramento to finish off the season. Blue Jays fans, we are off to play. Well, we're off to play Boston and Tampa Bay. Wait, Tampa Bay? Thomas, you're joking, right? I wish I were, fans. I wish I were. But we played them in George Steinbrenner Field and split. Now we got to play them again at Rogers Center. At first pitch goes flying on the final City Connect night as the kickstart of Fan Appreciation Weekend at 7:07 p.m. Eastern, 6:07 p.m. Central, 5:07 p.m. Mountain, 4:07 p.m. Pacific, 12:07 a.m. London time, 1:07 a.m. Paris time. And that's the same for the entire Boston Red Sox series, which gets started on the final Looney Dogs night, Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025. The series continues Wednesday, September 24th, and wraps up with the Red Sox on September 25th, Thursday, 7:07 start for all the Red Sox games. And Tampa Bay will finish with 3:07 starts on Sunday, September 28th, and Saturday, September 27th, 2025. So the Royals against the Angels and the Athletics, the Blue Jays, Red Sox, and then Tampa Bay on the schedule. Sure to be fun. The attendance record for game 1 of this series when Kansas City played action. 26,459 fans in attendance for game number 1. As we mentioned in game number 2, the final attendance record in which the Royals made themselves one game away from sweeping the Blue Jays, but obviously could not do that. 25,774 fans in attendance. And the game of which we had just played today, Sunday, September 21st, 2025. Michael Wacha on the L train, but Sir Anthony Dominguez on the win train, and the Blue Jays avoid the sweep against the Kansas City Royals. Michael Wacha with the loss, but he gets to do it in front of an attendance record of 32,936 fans in attendance. That is where we have it for you Blue Jays fans on Blue Jays Game Recap. The final Blue Jays Game Recap of Sports for Beginners is run, and of course the final home stand will be on Blue Jays Weekly Recap, which will also tally this final road stand that you heard on Sports for Beginners, and you may hear it during the hockey season at a later date on the ice and behind the benches. That's not in the plans right now, but we will have it for you. Don't worry. Blue Jays fan reaction starts on the ice and behind the benches amidst the beginning of the postseason run for the Blue Jays. We'll be covering it all season long here on the ice and behind the benches with some postseason check-ins. And speaking of check-ins, before we wrap up, the Houston Astros are coming up. They're coming in big in the bottom of the 8th inning right now. It is 7-3. Do they have one-ditch efforts left to beat the Mariners? It's the 8th inning and only one out with the run in the bottom of the 8th inning. In the top of the 7th inning, the Red Sox coming in close against the Tampa Bay Rays. It is a one-run ball game. It is 4-3 in favor of Tampa Bay. Can Tampa Bay shut down the Red Sox? Who knows? We know that the Blue Jays are in. So if this was football and it's baseball, but because it's the final piece, Blue Jays fans, time to celebrate. Time to celebrate that we are in the postseason. Yay! We did it! We're in the postseason! But remember what Vladdy said. the job's not done yet. So we're not done yet. We're only just beginning. We'll see you for Blue Jay fan reaction, which is, of course, Blue JFR short form. We'll see you for that. But until the next season for MLB, or somewhere down the road, Blue Jays Game Recap may make a surprise return during the postseason. My name is Thomas McGregor, saying, lights up, let's go Blue Jays. And to all the Kansas City Royal fans out here who still believe the Blue Jays, like me, could probably see the Kansas City Royals in the postseason, good luck the rest of the way. And as all sports fans would love to do, especially to those who love the side of good sportsmanship, good luck the rest of the season. We'll see you in the postseason if we see you. We'll see you next season if it's not in the cards. My name is Thomas McGregor. Baseball fans in general, have a fantastic week and enjoy the rest of the MLB regular season. Peace out until then, Blue Jay fans, for Blue Jay fan reaction. Can't wait to see you there in the postseason.
Thank you so much for listening to Sports for Beginners. If you would like to learn more about the show, you can visit the podcast Facebook page or visit the official website. You can also send us an email at sportsforbeginnerspodcast8231@gmail.com. As we always remind you, it is not goodbye, it is until next time.